Ajaan Khao was entirely qualified to be a constant source of great value for those in the world who associated with him. His outward behavior was impeccable, as was his inward knowing of the way of Dhamma, which was like a diamond of the first water buried deeply within him. Such a precious gem is extremely hard to find, and can only be found by someone who has returned from the threshold of death. I have secretly given him the name Diamond of the First Water in the Kammatthana lineage of Venerable Ajaan Mun, without being afraid that people will call me mad, because this arose from my own faith. Return to the Northeast. Venerable Ajaan Khao spent the Vassa of 1945-46 in Mae Nong Han, Sunsai District, Chiang Mai Province. During the Vassa, he kindly gave a number of Dhamma talks to teach and instill faith into the people there. By that time, his chitta had already gone free from the thick jungle and emerged into the land of boundless, wide-open space. His chitta had become a space chitta, and his Dhamma had become space Dhamma, both of them interfused into one in complete fulfillment. Nothing ever came to obstruct and deceive him like it used to. He continued his normal daily activities for the sake of maintaining the body and the kanthas, so that the Dhamma dwelling place, Vihara Dhamma, of the chitta in this world, Dirtha Dhamma, would remain convenient and comfortable. After the Vassa, he reflected back on his life before he set out to search for Dhamma and for the path, fruition, and Nibbana, by way of the constant practice of Thudanga Kammatthana. His past often came back to remind him of the promise he had made shortly after he was ordained. He had determined then that he would leave in order to search for the Dhamma, in order to attain the path, fruition, and Nibbana, and nothing else. When all the people and Ajaans opposed him and tried to stop him from going away, he then announced with complete sincerity that, after I have gone, if I have not experienced Dhamma, which is the path, fruition, and Nibbana, fully in my heart, I will not return to let you ridicule me as a failure to my face. This is my firm resolve. I will return only if I have this Dhamma as my guarantee. I would like all of you to understand now that it will be a long time before I return to see you again. By then, you may have forgotten what I just told you. When he had fully thought about it, he came to a definite decision and said farewell to all his friends and relatives who were attached to him and did not want him to go. But necessity compelled him to make a break with them, following the law of change, which is bound to bring about separation between people, both while living and at death, so everyone has to accept this natural principle. With that past incident fresh in his mind, Ajaan Khao asked Ajaan Wayan Sujino to accompany him back to the northeastern region, Isan, to visit his home village and all his friends and relatives who he had left 20 years ago. Should he wait any longer, he was concerned that either he or they might die before there was a chance to meet again. Also, were he to go now, he would have a very good opportunity to visit and pay his respects to Venerable Ajaan Mun Puridatta, who at that time was spending the Vassa in Nongpo Nanai village in the Panna Nanikon district of Sakon Nakhon province, an area where many Thudanga Kammatthana bhikkhus lived and practiced. But Ajaan Wayan said that he would not go back as long as he had still not attained the level of Arahant, which was the goal that he was fully intent on achieving. He felt that he had to stay put and go on developing until he reached his goal. Then he could leave Chiang Mai and go elsewhere if he wanted to. But if he did not want to go anywhere, he would go on living in Chiang Mai until he died. He told Ajaan Khao, "As for you, if you have attained arahantship, it would be very good if you spread the Dhamma among the bhikkhus and villagers. To that I give my full approval and blessing. But please don't bring out the kilesas and false Dhamma to spread about to other people, because the kilesas and false Dhamma are abundant everywhere where people live in this world. In fact, they are never lacking in the hearts of those living in the world nowadays. For that reason, the world is full of trouble and turbulence and unable to find calm and peace either in body or in mind. Wherever we go, we hear nothing but complaints that life is full of suffering and difficulty, full of hardships and deprivations. Even in the villages and towns where they reckon that they are experiencing progress and development, we still hear complaints about suffering and difficulty. So when you go to the northeastern region, please teach Dhamma that is correct and complete, not lacking in any way. Dhamma that is calming and peaceful, not complaining and agitated. This is what you should take to give to them, so that your relatives and friends will all be full of gratitude and joy that you have come to visit. At present, I am still fighting against the false Dhamma which makes me intoxicated. I haven't yet sobered up. I'm intoxicated while sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. When sitting in samadhi, I'm intoxicated. Walking Jangama Pāvana, I'm intoxicated. The kilesas that lead me into careless intoxication are still not ready to get off my shoulders, my back, my neck, and my heart. However I twist and turn about, the intoxicating kilesas continue to do their work, interfering with all my actions of body, speech, and mind. I have no way of knowing when I will be able to cure these intoxicants. But please go to Isan and teach them about Madanimadano, that Dhamma which causes intoxicants to abate. Vattopachedo, that Dhamma which cuts out the worldly chitta. Tanhakayo, that Dhamma which destroys craving. Virago, that Dhamma which is the end of raga, the pleasure of excitement. Nirodho, that Dhamma which quenches all the kilesas. Nibbana, the final and complete destruction of all the kilesas and the relative world of appearance. Go and spread these Dhammas about in the monasteries and villages. People will be very glad and show their appreciation to you who have been away for such a long time. That's what Ajaan Wayan told Ajaan Khao when he was about to return to Isan. Ajaan Wayan did not accompany him, for he wanted to develop his practice until he attained the state of Arahant first. He had to put off any travel plans until after he had reached the goal that his heart was set on. So instead, Ajaan Khao asked Ajaan Tob and Ajaan Butra to accompany him. Then the three of them left Chiang Mai and began walking cross-country to Isan, where they intended first to pay their respects to Venerable Ajaan Mun at Wat Ban Nong Pe in the district of Nanai, Sakon Nakhon province. The night before they reached there, they stopped to rest for the night. While Ajaan Khao was doing his meditation practice, he thought reverently of Venerable Ajaan Mun, reflecting in his heart how at that time Ajaan Mun was probably sitting in meditation and looking right into their hearts and minds, seeing everything quite clearly throughout. Ajaan Khao suspected that even before they had reached him, there was probably nothing within their hearts that Ajaan Mun had not found out with his super-knowing jnana. It was rather amazing that what he thought turned out to be true, for when they got there and met Venerable Ajaan Mun, he gave them an important talk on Dhamma, saying, "Being afraid that other people will look into your heart and mind, rather than being concerned about looking into your own heart and mind to see what's there, is simply wasting your time dreaming and thinking externally while having no interest in thinking about going into your own body and mind. Where else can we who practice the way find the ability to be circumspect? Those who practice so as to know the basic principles of truth must look at themselves and their own hearts, the major cause of all problems, far more than looking at things outside themselves. They must also find a method of guarding themselves and their hearts by being careful and watchful in all postures and situations. They must use their mindfulness and wisdom to recollect and learn from their past experience, so they can think about and work out how to deal with each incident that they meet up with. They must not be careless and indifferent with anything in the sphere of the relative world of convention, which is nothing but the sphere of dukkha, the sphere of birth and death of all beings in the world." After having rested and listened to Venerable Ajaan Mun's Dhamma, which gave them a feeling of uplift and joy, they saluted him and took their leave. They then went wandering in the vicinity of Ajaan Mun's forest monastery to find solitude, practicing the way of Gamartana in places such as Ban Gok Manao and Ban Gutbak in Gutbak district, Sagon Nakhon province. They promoted their striving in Dhamma continuously in that area for several months, after which they all set off to go to Ajaan Khao's home village. When they reached his home village, where he was born and grew up, all the people there, including his relatives and friends, were very happy and elated to hear about his arrival. They asked him to have metta for them by spending the next Vassa period there. When he agreed, they built a hut for him to stay the Vassa at Boatsaneng, which was the name of his home village. After the Vassa period, Ajaan Khao said farewell to all his relatives and friends and returned to Sagon Nakhon province. There he went wandering in various districts, where there were forests and hills which were suitable for practicing the way of Samarna Dhamma, such as the foothills of Pupan and Pulek ranges in the district of Sawang Dandien. He spent several Vassa periods in that area, 1 year at Nongluang village, another at Tumbed, another at Watsanoi village, and another at Chumbon village, all of which are within the boundaries of the district of Sawang Dandin, Sagon Nakhon province. He had a few bhikkhus and novices with him, but not many, because he did not want a lot of people following him around. It would have been too disturbing and too difficult to find suitable places to stay and practice, as well as being difficult to gather food and pindabada. He preferred staying near small villages, composed of not more than 5, 6, or 7 houses, as this provided the most suitable conditions for the way of Samarna Dhamma by avoiding the disturbances of a large crowd of bhikkhus and novices, constantly coming and going, as he had found in the larger villages and monasteries he had seen. Ajaan Khao was so absolutely resolute and resourceful in striving that it would be hard to find anyone else to equal him. When it came to striving in the way of Dhamma, even in old age he still remained very skilled and resolute without weakening. When he walked Jankama, he continued for 5 or 6 hours each time before taking a rest. Even the young bhikkhus could not equal him. The striving of the wisest men is so very different from that of the rest of us, who tend to look forward more to the time when we can rest our heads on our pillows, as if pillows are more exalted than the path fruition and nibbana, which, when one looks at it and thinks about it, should make us ashamed of how clever we are in those ways that are completely lacking in essential value.